In this video, I'm not pitching an objective argument. Instead, I'm pitching a subjective one, which is kind of funny because I spent almost all of last video roasting subjectivity. However, it is different in that this argument today isn't trying to define anything, but rather explore. I do believe that there are other strong arguments for God, like the ontological argument or contingency argument, objective beauty argument, and many other great arguments. However, at the end of the day, they are just arguments. So today I will be dishing out a challenge to all of you in search of the divine. I'm Cameron, and this is the Layman Cam. What it do, baby? Welcome to the final installment of my Reasons for God series. We made it, believe it or not. I have absolute confidence that every single one of you is now a theist. Please do let me know what you think in the comments down below. Arguments can be as convincing as you like, yet they may not take a hold. For example, flat earthers ignore the accessible data and even logic on some occasions when they are represented by highly qualified people. Now, I'm not suggesting that atheists and agnostics are like flat earthers. I'm merely articulating that arguments, no matter how convincing, may not work to sway your conscience. A stereotyped saying of the atheistic and agnostic community is that seeing is believing. And you know what? I can't really fault that logic in some instances. And religion, in their and even some theists' eyes, is completely based on faith in the unseen. But what if that weren't the case? What if God is not distant or not passive and actually has a tangible effect in the material world? What if you can personally find God? I pitch a challenge to those who are curious if there is really a big guy in the sky. Simply ask if they are real. Ask to reveal the true God and the true way in some sort of meditation or prayer. If you get a reply and that provides evidence for God and it actually prompts you to believe in God, well, then there is a God. If not, well, then there is nothing. But at the same time, you've lost absolutely nothing. Some of the more skeptical among you may ask, why on earth should I do this? God probably doesn't exist, and the plurality of religious ideas of God means that this is an exercise in futility. To that, I would apply a version of Pascal's wager that says you stand a lot more to gain and lose if there does prove to be a God. And if he doesn't, well, by comparison, nothing really happens either which way. And I've also worded the challenge very carefully, such that you're asking for the true God to reveal himself. You're not just taking a blind stab at finding the true God, therefore, and eliminate the problem that plurality brings. Additionally, I would also implore the challengee to think about the major worldviews in yours and others' past that have proven to be false, no matter how confident you were about them. However, when it comes to religious belief, the stakes are a lot higher. You have nothing to lose by taking up this challenge, other than a few minutes of thought a day, and well, eternal joy is on the table to gain. Now, there are some ground rules to this challenge. Number one, it needs to be an honest, concerted effort to find the truth, not merely to prove me or other theists wrong. Number two, don't just say, reveal yourself now at once, pause, and say, see, nothing happened. If there does prove to be a divine figure, it's been well documented that this figure does have a tendency to take its time, so give it time. Number three, don't self-project. This can cut both ways. Don't dismiss a God just because it's inconvenient and may demand drastic life change. This personal exercise is an exercise to see if there is a God or not whether it fits in with your current worldview. In the same way, don't project there to be a God just because you want there to be one. A God does provide catharsis through the painful reality of life. However, that isn't evidence for God's existence in your personal experience. Notice how I'm being vague. Not because I want to make you think that landing a bottle flip on the lid is the sign of the divine, but rather that's just the nature of divine intervention. God often talks and acts in ways that are sometimes not understandable to us. However, this vagueness may be a tactic to whet our spiritual appetite, to make us ask questions and seek answers all the more. or to not spoil the journey of discovery that is ahead. I like this argument in part because it's not an argument per se, it's a quest that sets the individual as the captain at the helm of his own vessel. It puts forth a journey into the unknown, and also it really does take it out of our hands. It puts it rather into God, if he does exist, his hands. And if honest, concerted effort is expended into finding what is at the end of it, truly it may reap something special. The quest for the divine has defined our human experience since we began as a species, and I don't believe that quest should die with modern rationalism and skepticism. An open-minded and inquisitive heart will make this challenge worthy of your time and thought. And remember, always leave room for Jesus. Peace!